So I remember that you had told me that you also have some English institute, right?
Yeah,
Where you
yeah.
teach children English.
Yeah, I do run an institution known as Divya
Okay,
English
so can you please?
Academy. As you know that I run a YouTube channel. My name is Neeraj Singh. I am from India. I'm an English teacher, and then I have been teaching language
Mm-hmm.
for I think 5 6 years, and then as well as I do have my offline classes also going for the students, and then we have the online classes going on for kids joining from around the world.
Yeah, I'm Mayra and I'm doing masters in English literature, and I also have the desire to become a language trainer in future. And that's the main reason as to why I have created this channel, because this way I get to talk with, English learners and also English teachers. So as a result of that, I gain more insight into the psyche of these students, and I get to learn more about the struggles that these English learners face and the challenges that they face. So with each passing day, I think I'm learning more and more by talking with these people from different countries. And yeah, that's all about me.
All right, so according to your country, what can be the best method of learning English and teaching English?
I think that the best method for learning English would always be to immerse yourself in the language. Immersion is the key to learning any language, no matter which language you're learning. And I think that the more content you consume in that particular language, the more likely you are to become fluent in that particular language. Like, for example, if there's a person who wants to become fluent in English, that person needs to start focusing on all the angles of English, be it reading, writing, speaking, or anything for that matter. So the more you immerse yourself in that language, the more exposure you get, and as a result of that, you become more fluent.
All right, when we say emerging themselves, so what area they really should be focusing on by which they get the confidence step by step in the process of learning English language?
I think I would say the same thing again, that you cannot learn English if you're not exposing yourself to English content. So people who are just beginning their journey of learning English, I think that these people need to start like from the lower level. They need to probably start reading kids books. Kids story books contain very simple vocabulary, and it also contains very simple grammatical structures. So I think that they need to start reading these children story books. And apart from that, they need to watch content on YouTube a lot, as well. I mean, there's a lot of content on YouTube where they teach English for a beginner. They teach very basic and simple English, and they teach very basic grammatical structures as well. And also, you can find a lot of conversations, a lot of basic conversations on YouTube where two people are having a conversation with each other, in which they are using very simple language and very simple vocabulary. So I think that that is going to be really helpful for the beginners. And apart from that, they need to speak a lot. They need to speak with people around them in English, because no matter how many books they are reading or how much content they are watching, if they are not speaking English on a regular basis, they will never make progress. And if there's a person who does not have any partner whom he can practice English with, that person needs to just start practicing in front of the mirror, or that person needs to switch to thinking in English. Instead of thinking in his native language, that person needs to start thinking in English. That can be also very effective.
Absolutely. So, as you said and explained various things, so actually, when we talk about, like learning language step by step, the first step can be, first of all, an English learner must listen. The first stage of learning language means listen language, listen words, sentences. After that, they may go for the reading, as you talked about, the reading books, story books, some word power, whatever it may be, going to the YouTube channels and all. Because the more we listen, more we learn. The listening, after listening, we may go for the speaking part, as you are telling. Once we think in English, English becomes our own language. But then thinking process is not going to be taking place within a short period of time in our mind. Instead of translating the language, while talking to someone it takes little time. The people are not able to think because of not having enough word power in their mind to be thinking in that particular language which they're supposed to be speaking to someone whomever they wish to be talking to. That take little time to learn and to think in English language. But as for the listening is concerned about, we need to keep on listening, because a child before he goes to school he speaks a language, but how does that happen? Might not be reading because of the listening. Maybe his mother is telling to his dad, who is he? The child says dad. First of all, mom says dad. The child also repeats, but then child doesn't know how to read dad, how to write dad, but he can speak it. The question is, how did he learn it? Just by listening from his mom. So the listening is one of the effective skills which can be followed in the process of learning language. When we talk about learning language from the beginning itself, after listening and then learning a lot of things like reading, writing, speaking, thinking, watching, storytellings, a lot of things can be developed step by step. But once we think in English language, definitely that becomes our own language. We should not be, there's no need to be translating a lot of things instantly in our mind, because the thinking gives us access to be talking to someone and understanding because of having a lot of word power in our mind in that particular language. This is what I think. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I totally agree with whatever you're saying, and listening is very crucial, because when we are kids, we learn our native language by listening, right? That's how we learn it. We don't learn it by reading, or we don't learn it by writing. We learn it by listening. So of course, I totally concur with what you said, and yeah, you pretty much said everything that is required to be done in order to improve your English. So one thing that I'm a little curious about is, what are the techniques or what are the methods that you use in your institute to teach your students English?
Yeah, actually we follow, as you said, that there is no any, we should not say that this is only the one way to learn language. That might not be the justification to say, and that might not be the right thing to say. When we talk about learning language, in order to learn language we need to follow various kind of topics, exercise, practice, skill, practical work and all. It might not be fair to say that one statement only this is the way to learn language. When we talk about learning language, developing 4 skills: listening, speaking, the people hesitate in speaking because of having fear of making mistakes, and then having hesitation, not confident. So that also has to be spoken out in order to have the practice of speaking. Reading definitely helps to improve language, because when we read we develop a lot of word power at the moment while reading language. And then writing, once we become a good writer, that means we do have the master in that language. So we use the different skills like listening, speaking, reading, writing, and then thinking, role playing. Grammar topics are there. We do focus on grammar topics very systematically, because what happens, most of the people say that learning language and speaking language, grammar is not required. Do we need to know the grammar for spoken English? A lot of questions are something like that. Actually, a group of words which makes a complete sense is called a sentence. How do we identify that the group of words which we are using in our conversation, making sentences while talking to someone? How do we come to know that whether it is making sense or not? It is because of a grammar. So we do follow the different structures like grammar topic, exercise, and then based on the grammar topics, whatever topics we are learning, we make sure that kids, they get the practice also based on those topics. How, when we say about learning the noun topics, we make sure that students learn almost 1500 noun from different topics. It can be medical, geographical, sickness, health, religious, vocabulary, the noun, word power, the pronoun topics, the forms of verb, tenses, sentences, passive, it's based on the grammar. But then how it has to be practiced in the speaking, that also we do focus. Then what happens, people, the students, the learner, they know the English words because of learning various topics based on grammar, as well as they do know their uses also in these sentences. When they want to talk to someone, speaking confident they get because of knowing the how words can be used. Like when we talk about learning English language, basic language, like 24 auxiliary verbs, 12 tenses, and 8 parts of speech. This is one kind of a basic language learning structures or the topics. When they learn the 8 parts of speech, all English words are categorized into 8 parts of speech. Studying 8 parts of speech is going to help us. It is going to help us to use the English words in sentences as well as understanding, because studying 8 parts of speech will help us to understand what kind of a word are we using, where do we need to use, how do we need to use. If someone is using in a sentence, how do we understand them in English, the use of English words, the function of English words in sentences and tenses. That gives us more confident. Not like learning grammar and memorizing rules in local languages, not something like that. Getting the idea, sense of understanding and speaking language. It is all about playing with words. Speaking language means playing with words. Once you know how words can be used in spoken and then in written, as well as understanding if someone is talking to us. So we keep on doing a lot of activities, something like that for the learners. And learning language is endless. We keep on learning more. There might not be like time to time it has been changing the pronunciation, the short forms. So we might not say that this is only the complete way of learning language. Day by day things keep on changing and improving. We also need to be developing according to that. You may say now something.
Yeah, so all the strategies that you use in your institute to teach your students are like really phenomenal, and I think that this is actually the correct way of teaching English. But unfortunately, this is something that does not happen in the schools. Like, for example, if you go to the schools, like even English medium schools, you won't find this kind of environment out there.
Absolutely.
And they don't teach English in that. Yeah. So that can be like really problematic for the kids, you know. As a result of that, they don't learn anything out of it. They don't learn English, and they start hating English. So what would you like to say about that? Like, how can schools create this environment of English?
Yeah, this is the good question that you asked. Actually, in the school, they don't have time to teach, okay? One thing, because they are just worried about their syllabus to finish it. That's it. Students are just memorizing the definition, noun is name of person, place of things, no idea what are the vocabulary, are they speaking what is noun and all, how many noun, or do they know that at least vegetable names 20, 25, 30, 50, how do we use them, having no ideas, just memorizing the definition, that's it. And another thing is that some of the English medium schools still they do follow the teaching language method in translation, which is not appropriate method of learning language. We do follow the English to English method for teaching, learning and understanding, whatever it may be. We do follow only one language, that is English, for explanation also, for understanding also, for teaching also. That means the learner is learning language. Otherwise, translation means we are making him to understand English language completely in his own language. Finally, he knows language, English, but in his own language. When it comes in speaking out, he has to keep on translating in his mind. So in schools, they are just worried about their syllabus, the literature part, books and grammar, some little bit information, and that's it. Learning language requires time, practice, conversation, having zeal and all, something like that. So it is not included in their syllabus, something like that. That's why they don't bother much about it. And another thing is that they just allow students to speak whatever they want to speak, just speak in English and don't care about grammar, pronunciation and all. Just show to their parents, yeah, kids are speaking English. But finally the kids are becoming habitual of speaking wrong English. They just speak English, but grammar, pronunciation is not concerned about at all. And then once we have the habit of speaking wrong English in the beginning itself, so it is going to be little difficult to change it later on. So these are the things. And then schools, they don't focus on this much.
Yeah, they don't really focus on this aspect. And also, if I talk about the teachers themselves do not know English that well. Like for example, even in my school, I had an English teacher, and her English skills were like really poor. And I was like probably in sixth standard, and at that time I was just contemplating that why is that so. Like for example, some of my cousins, they used to tell me about their teachers, and they used to tell me that their teachers are like really fluent English speakers, but my experience was like very different, because my some of my friends were doing O levels, at that time. So they told me that they are provided with English speaking environments, and their teachers are like really good English speaker, and they speak English fluently. But when I noticed the environment of my school, I realized that the teachers were not good at speaking English. So that also has to do something with the fact that people who manage to go to O level schools, they learn English because the teachers are really exceptional speakers. But the students who go to normal schools, or who don't go to O level schools, they don't learn anything because the teachers are not that good.
Yes, absolutely. But I think, according to me, it might not be the right statement to be made to say that teachers, we are also the teachers. So maybe it is because of the school management, their issue, those who are appointing teachers, something like that, they need to deal about this. That might not be the right statement for us to be said to about someone and all, because it depends on the management of school, if they do provide the good qualified teachers. Because appointing the qualified teachers will also be little expensive. They need to be paying also good salaries. Teachers are not good means they are not willing to pay enough salary to the qualified teachers, somehow managing with the person who are not much qualified in order to have their profit. But ultimately this is spoiling the lives of the students, those who are going all those kind of schools and then learning language. This is what I would say about that.
So you are also a language trainer, and I would like to know how exactly did you learn English? How exactly did you become so proficient in English? Because
I
you must have also started learning English at one point, right? So
Yeah,
how
yeah.
was your journey?
So I would say that I'm still learning, so it might not be the right statement for me to say that, but at the same time I'm assisting people to learn language. It happened like I had one kind of a curiosity to learn language. I wanted to learn language because it's speaking English, spoken English. So I happened to visit one institution. He told me the fee charges, so I was little bit afraid of. So he told me like per hour this much. So I got afraid, maybe by chance if I happen to talk to with him for 2, 3, 4 hours, so the fee charges are going to be very much, so it might not be possible for me. I may not be able to afford for that. But then I thought, okay, one day I will also work hard and become an English teacher, but I will try to assist students. So then step by step, then I did my master's in English. I went in the southern part of India. I got teachers from different countries, US, Canada, Switzerland, Australia. We had a very good English teacher. He was teaching us international English, pronunciation, grammar, structure, where we have students from different countries and different states, and only one language was there, that was English. We have to speak English. We can't think also in our language. And then having friends and students from different states, different countries, there is no possibility at all to be speaking any other language. If we speak, there was 50 rupees fine for one word. That means we used to get afraid of while speaking, and even listening also. Like I'm senior, I'm in second year. A first year student is coming to me, he is not able to understand language. I'm helping him in my own language. If dean and the warden, the teacher, they will see, they will tell me, why did you listen his mother tongue? Maybe because of you are senior, you listened, you responded also. Now he will come to you again whenever he has the difficulty, so you are spoiling his life. So we were like punished even for listening our mother tongue also. That was a very strict rule. So it took 2 to 3 months, 4 months. Our teacher was very good. He taught us very systematic method of teaching language. We got the confidence of speaking sentences, tenses, whatever it may be. And then after that, the method, the way he taught, I started to apply it in various schools and colleges. People started to appreciate we are able to learn language within 25 days, 3 months, 1 month, 2 months. Slowly it gave me more confidence. And then later on we just converted into English speaking academy, and then now we are assisting students from different places and different countries.
Yeah, that's really commendable, and I must say that your journey of learning English is like so inspiring. And so yeah, so what would you like to say at the end of our session? Like, would you like to give any message to the beginners or anything that you'd like to add at the end of our session?
So I just want to say all the language learners, we need to make sure that it is not just following one way of or having conversation. Sometime the language learners, they are asking just basic questions. Hi, how are you, where are you from, what's your name? After that they are asking how is my English, asking few questions, and then after that trying to judge themselves like how would you like to rate me. Learning language is a process. It will take some time. Listen more, read more, speak more, have speaking practice, start thinking in English. It will not ever happen overnight. And then if you are getting influenced by some of the courses, learn language in 3 months, in 3 hours, in 45 hours, these are one kind of strangers, so they may cheat you. So shouldn't be getting influenced by someone like that. Have enough patience, keep on learning more word power and pronunciation, keep on talking, and then learn systematically, step by step. Listen more, practice more, read more, develop the grammar portions as well also, and then have patience in order to learn language. It won't happen overnight. It takes little time. Keep on learning, and then do work hard also, because most of the language learners, they want to speak fluently and confidently without working hard and then without giving their time, which is also not possible. Give your time, do work hard also in order to learn a lot of vocabulary, and step by step definitely they will be getting confident in speaking English also. This is language, one thing we need to understand, and languages are made by God for human being to have communication. That means human being do have the ability to learn any language, because languages are made for them. So any language it can be. So shouldn't be worrying about English. Will I be able to learn this language or not? No, any language it can be, because it is made for human being to have the communication with one another. That's it. That means we do have the ability to learn this language. These languages are made for us. So step by step we need to keep on learning. Yeah.
It's very true. I totally agree with whatever you said. And honestly speaking, I also got to learn so many things. You really mentioned some of the really useful tips here, and which I also will take into consideration. And it was really nice talking to you, and I had a great time. So thank you so much for giving your precious time to me. And will that be all right if I share this session on my YouTube channel?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So take care of yourself. Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks.